Something I've been thinking about last couple weeks is how sex education is kind of geared more towards neurotypical people. Those of us who are neurospicy, it can be something very how do you say, difficult to process. I was diagnosed about a decade ago with a nonverbal learning disorder. And that name can be kind of confusing when you think nonverbal. It's you're not talking. And of course, I'm talking right now. The nonverbal in NVLD is meant with nonverbal communication. Um, like body language, sarcasm, trying to figure out what the hell people are talking about non-verbally. And so I know in elementary school having that class, that in the public school system they did a fairly decent job of, protection, you know certain types of protection are pretty close, pretty good at being safe. But that abstinence is the only 100% way to not get a disease, get pregnant, which is true. But and it's strange that they did this in the public school system, but talking about having sex with someone, it's like chewed gum or a licked cupcake. Would anyone want that after it's been chewed or licked? And that you sleep with one person, you're then sleeping with all the people that they slept with. And now in my 40s, it's like that kind of seems ridiculous that people, it's not necessarily about a number, it's about making that connection. But I think for me, in my neurospicy way, when they said abstinence is the only 100% way to be safe about it, I took that as don't have sex with anyone until you find your husband. And you know what? Some of us might not want to get married. So are we supposed to be celibate? And okay, the stuff I got within the public school systems was pretty reasonable. It would have been nice to maybe have had a class for those of us who are neurospicy to discuss some of that nonverbal stuff. And sex can be complicated. And even in my 40s, it's still fucking complicated. But you know what? Would have been nice to have some kind of class, extra class for that. The one thing that completely bothered me about discussing sex in high school, being at a very Catholic high school, class, my grade was having this discussion about sex before marriage. And everyone's saying, what's the problem? As long as you use protection, what's wrong with it? And one of the teachers pipes up and says, well, if you go murder someone, and as long as you don't get caught, there's nothing wrong with that. So it's one of those things of comparing sex to murder. And you know what? Those are two very different things. It's not the same thing. And that's something that's always kind of bothered me. I will say one good thing that I learned was actually a religion teacher in high school that we were kind of talking about. Well, if sex is for procreation, what if one or both are infertile? What if the woman went through menopause? If sex is for procreation, then you need to stop having sex. And this teacher had brought up a very good point, that sex can be life-giving to the relationship. In a sense, saying that I'm showing you my love, And this is making us closer, making us a better couple, better human being. And that, it's it strengthens our bond. We're not necessarily bringing life, physical life, a baby into the world, but we're making ourselves better people. And you know what? That's the way I think sex needs to be talked about. Love is love is love is love. That it can be a very beautiful thing. And you know what? If some people are into other types of sex where it's maybe not about love, that's okay too, because you know what? It's all about expressing who you are. And with sex education that I was taught growing up, where it's like, it's not about me as a person and me expressing who I am. It was about giving my partner what they needed. And it's like, gonna sound selfish here, but what about me? What about my needs? So that's just something I think everyone should maybe think about.